So this is going to be similar to the other My Version videos. Basically, I'm just going to be going, unedited through this assignment, how I would create it. So let's get started. The first thing I did was just create a plain document. I went ahead and went with 0 columns on this because I kind of just want the freedom to kind of go through here. I wasn't thinking of making any sort of column design. And then the first thing I want to do is actually want to format this document before I even touch any of the tables or the graphs or anything. I want to format it to get it to a sort of look that I'm looking for. And so with this particular document, I'm thinking of a one-page document. So I'm not going to touch the masters. And I'm also going to delete the bottom pages here. There seems to be a couple of extra pages. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those. And we're just going to go with a one-page report here. And then so let's go ahead and create ourselves some text. I'm actually going to create a guideline to see where I kind of want it. And sort of like the last ones, it's going to be where this title's at the top. We're going to go with analytic report. That's how I'm going to list that up there. And then now I'm just going to go highlight it, bring up the size here so it fills up the screen here, but I don't want it to go too large. So that looks good. And then let's go ahead and go over here and center it. And now, yep, that's looking good. I've had W looking solid. And this is in the center of the document. Yes, I actually need to be moved over just a little. Let's go ahead and create ourselves a line here as well. So I'm going to go from the edge of the text box over to the right edge here. And remember, I'm holding shift to make sure the line goes perfectly straight. And now I've got this nice sort of look to it. And I can actually, kind of go online. And sometimes that's good to do. So for example, I was searching for some sample data, and I've included that sample data in the files of this this project. So if you want to use a sample data, you can. I'm going to be using that same sample data. It's got this from a site called contextures.com if you want to check them out. But let's go ahead and look up an example of an analytic report. Let's go with like business report. And we can kind of see what others have created. And from that, we can get a sort of an idea of what we might want to create. So you can see that maybe I kind of like the look of this one right here where it's got like the same color pattern. You can have maybe like a more official one that looks like this. Up here, I actually really like the way that this looks. Let's view this image actually right here. And so, yeah, I like that how this one's set up. It looks very colorful and very unique. So I'm going to sort of try to create something similar to this right here. And so maybe instead of putting the analytic report up here, we could try to put it like maybe over to the edge a little bit. So let's try that. And this is all a part of the creative process. Sometimes you want to go online and you want to see inspiration from others and then kind of put your own unique spin onto it. So if I went and I put this right here, and let's maybe like choose a color scheme maybe. So if I like highlighted this, maybe I want all of this to be sort of a bluish color. Let's go in here. Let's double click on here so I can grab some colors. And this is a little bit of a complex sort of color wheel here, is that it doesn't have all the colors at once. So you have to adjust all the red, the green, and the blue individually. Let's go with a lighter blue. Let's go right there. And so yeah, that's looking like a good color. So I'm going to go into my swatches. I'm going to add that so I can add it to other things later. So let's go into here. Let's go ahead and make sure that the color is actually selected. Add it like that. Now it's saved on the bottom right there. So now we have like this analytic report sort of going right here, and let's look at the rest. So now this line looks a little bit off, so let's drag the line over like that, and then let's maybe shrink it down a touch as well, just a little bit like so. Yeah, that's looking kind of good. It's got this sort of like neat little style to it now, and we could check back on like how this looks. Maybe we it looks like that there's some sort of style to it going on the left side here, and maybe there's some words over here is kind of what balances it. But if you look on the bottom here, what really sets it like nicely is that these headers here are nicely sort of set into place. So we could try to do something similar to that as well. If we go ahead and just create some text here, we could maybe put like go like here, we could put the table, and then let's go ahead and make that a little larger and then center it. And then we actually want to add a fill to this one. So instead of just going with the regular sort of styles up here, to add a fill, what we can do is we can click on the text box itself, and we can go into it's going to be this one right up here, the fill. So we're going to go into black, but now we need the text to be white. So let's re-highlight the text, hit Control A because it's kind of hard to see now. And we can go over here and click on the white. And so now we have that sort of that same look that the other one had there. And then so we can put like the table information there. And then if we Control C, Control V to copy and paste it, then I can put this right over here to the right. And you see that it's a little bit long, so we'll shrink this down a touch. And then maybe we'll put the, like the graph or something over here. And let's see, they're just a little bit off center from one another. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this back a touch. Maybe bring this over. And maybe it's a good idea actually to get sort of like a center column going here. Something that we can sort of reference off of. Get them sort of balanced on each side of that. And that's looking pretty good right there. Maybe this one needs to go over one or two more. And so now we have this sort of fun little report coming out of this. And so let's go ahead and add in our table. Like I said, I added in a little bit of example data. You can find this in the folders under the My Version text. I just got it from that sample data. It just basically has like 3 different variables here. And so I'm just going to highlight them in Excel. And then I'm going to click and drag it on over like so. And then let's sort of format this kind of where we want it to be like so. And then now we're going to click on it. We're going to double click so we're in the text, hit Control A so we select all of it. Then we're going to go up to table, hit convert text to table, and then click OK. And now we have this text and it's looking pretty good. And you'll see that there was some stuff cut off near the bottom here if you get this too close, where the 6 is cut off, and there's going to be a bunch of blank areas. But if you know that you didn't have blank areas, it just means that the column is a little bit too small. We need to make it just a little larger to fit everything inside of it. And we can take some room back off the units because it doesn't need to be that large. And there we go. Now we have this, and we have a blank row down here. So what we just need to do is go up, click on the blank row, go to delete. We're just going to go ahead and delete that row out of it. And now we have our column, but it doesn't have very much style to it right now. So what we need to do next is add in our style for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first off, I'm going to make sure that this is a header row. So if it's not, we're going to need to change that around. So let's go in here. Let's go to table setup. And let's see if there's headers or footers. There is no header row, so I'm going to add one. Click OK, and then I'll add a row to the top right there. And so I'm just going to have to, copy and paste this upward like so. A little tedious, but the information didn't actually come with one. Sometimes in like Excel and stuff, you can actually set up the header rows. I believe you can do it in Word as well. So when they import them, that metadata will come with it, and it'll bring it with a header row. But a lot of times that is a little bit of an extra step, so people don't do it because they don't, expect you to bring it into a program that uses header rows. So it's just not set up, and you have to do it manually. And then so now we're just going to click on this and just delete the whole row out of here. Okay, so now we can do some formatting here. So let's go and open back up our styles, which is actually hiding behind here. So we have our table styles, we have the cell styles, and then the paragraph styles. So let's go ahead and create ourselves a cell style. We're going to go to cell styles right here, and let's create ourselves a new one. Let's name it analytic style. And then let's just make the text here. Actually, text is fine. Let's go to strokes and fills, and let's give it a stroke or a fill in the background of that same blue that we had earlier, so to kind of match the top of the report here. And then in text, let's align those to center. So we're going to align those center in case this gets too big for the future. But basically, this is going to be fine. So we're going to click OK. And then now we need to go into table styles, create ourselves a new table style, and then give this one a analytic report, same. And then we're going to go into the header rows here, and we're going to give it the analytic style. Going to click OK, and now we're going to click onto our table so that we can say that the table style should be the analytic report. It's going to change the entire table in the analytic report, and all that this style is saying is that for all of the header rows, what we're going to be using is the cell style of analytic style. So let's also create a style for the top here. I want these to be white and maybe bold. So I'm going to create a new paragraph style. Double click on this, and we could call this one analytic header. That is not spelled right. Sure, that works. And we're going to go into the basic character. We're going to go Minion Pro Works, and we'll go with bold condensed. And then let's go into the coloring, character color. Let's make the character color white. Click OK, and you'll see that that is looking pretty good. So let's highlight everything over here. You can highlight all of these individually, or you can actually click the arrows on the left to highlight the entire row. And now we can give the entire top row this appearance like so. And there we go. That's looking pretty good so far. We have this this color that's working with the other color, and we could, it's feeling a little unbalanced up here, so you could like maybe put like the name, like I'll put my name here up in the top right. Maybe this is a report for me or for our company, so we could do something like Video School Online, Kurt Anderson, you know, something, thing up here might actually make this look a little more balanced. And we could, you know, increase the size of this a tad. And then sort of balance this out over here. Let's make this so it'll give us the right recommendations. And, you know, that looks kind of good right there. I actually think it should go over a little bit more. Maybe up one more. And then let's kind of shrink it down some. And yeah, that's looking pretty good. I mean, you kind of got to play around with it and kind of figure out what you're trying to display. But I just felt like that maybe it needed something up there to give it a little bit more of a kick, a little bit more of a balance. Okay, let's go back into the table over here, and let's create that alternating style of coloring. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into table styles, get into there, and let's go into fills, and we want an alternating pattern on every other row. And then let's just control the tint of the black here. I think the black and white works. If you hold down the shift, you'll go by tens when you click the up and down arrow keys. So I'm going to go to just 10%. I like the way that looks. And maybe we could actually even go, yeah, let's definitely do that. We're going to go with our same color here. We're going to give it a 10% color of this. So it's not black and white. It's going to be giving us this slightly, you know, less opaque version of this color right here. Kind of keeps everything in the exact same format. And let's bring this down a touch more. I think these need to be sort of in the same place. And actually, let's bring this back, and maybe we can actually expand this to almost over. Let me zoom in here. What if I expanded this over to like right here? Expanded this one over to like right here. And then now let's kind of look at that a little bit better. And yeah, I kind of like that better. I like them closer together to one another. And so now we got this sort of the numbers on the left. So let's go ahead and add in our graph. I also added that into the My Version right here into chart. So I'm going to drag that in as a picture. And basically what I did was I just created a picture in Excel. It's actually using this data. So I'm going to just drag that in here and then sort of shrink the picture down a little bit. Got to make sure to hold Control. And we can include the chart over here. And you're noticing something that I'm realizing is that this chart is a little bit too long for this document. So maybe I could try to change things up. Maybe the table should be more towards the center and the chart should be beneath it. These are sort of like design things that might come into play when you have a good idea in mind, but maybe the information is different. Maybe it's going to be laid out differently than you want. So in this situation, I don't think the graph actually works right here. So let's move the graph down. Let's bring it back to its like original size here. Let's kind of stick it right down there and maybe shrink it down just a touch more. And it's not a very high quality graph, as you can see. It's a little bit, a little pixelated, but that is just because I grabbed it from Excel as like a snipping tool. So let's kind of put it right there. And maybe let's move the table up some and kind of center that. And then we'll move this as well, the table with it, sort of into the center like so. We can drop this down. And then let's shrink this just a touch. Move this over here. And now let's bring this graph one beneath it in the exact same spot. And then center this a little bit better. And yeah, that looks a little bit better. The text to be in the same spot. Maybe if we took this and we expanded them across now. So like maybe over to the margin. So let's hit the W key so we can see how close we are to margin. Let's expand them both over to the margin. So I'm going to do the exact same to this one up here. And now, yeah, now it's looking a little bit better. Maybe we would want a second table over here or some other way to sort of balance this document out a little bit more. I'm going to keep moving this down because it's kind of too close to that top line up there. And this doesn't look centered onto the text very well. Like that looks a little bit better. That looks a little bit more evenly weighted. And instead of like being so explicit with graph here, we could like type visual table. Let's go with data. And then that's looking pretty good. I like the idea of this because it's actually given us a very sort of clean way of looking at both of the data from the top downward. So now it's just sort of like time to add just a little bit of maybe some touches to this, like a little bit of some cleaning up. Let's see, how else might I be able to improve this? I'm thinking some lines somewhere or some ways to like kind of focus our attention better. Maybe if we I'm just gonna try something here. What happens if we created a, like sort of this middle one's like a section, almost like how the table is being set up. So we can create this and let's fill it with like a little bit of gray. So if we go into the luminance, let's fill it with like just a slightly off white here. And then now we kind of probably should go into our layers and make sure we're managing them right, because you see they're all in the exact same place. But if I just drag this downward, it should put it beneath it like so. And what happens if I kind of want to go even lighter than this? So let's, because our original color is white in the background. So I want to make this really, so this is like the original background color. So I just want to make it a touch off that color. Maybe a little more than that. Let's see, how does that look? That's got a neat little look to it. Maybe if I remove the stroke on the sides. Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of like how it gives a sort of a sectioned off appearance to this top one. Just kind of see the inside of this. But that is basically going to be it for this report here. I would be happy printing this out and maybe removing that or keeping that. It all comes down to, how your style is, how you want it to be styled. And it also comes down to like trying to make sure that things are balanced and that they feel balanced. For example, the center of the cost here, where it says cost up here, maybe it should be kind of centered with the data. It feels like this is being pulled to the left while this is being pulled to the right. So we might want to work with that and try to center it more. But this is generally how you might go about creating something like this. Just sort of working with it over time, kind of working through the different areas and then just trying to feel it out, feel what works the best, what doesn't work the best, and just looking at it over and over and trying to figure out how you like it done. That is going to be it on this sort of part, and I look forward to seeing you in the next section where we're going to be covering some more of the advanced stuff, some things that I might have learned, and then some just some tools that might help you sort of round out this introduction to Adobe InDesign. See you there.